Everyone laughed when bankrupt millionaire Marcus Sterling took in homeless girl Sophia. They called him delusional, desperate, a fool grasping at redemption. But when Marcus discovered Sophia's terrifying brilliance, an IQ that shattered conventional scales, their mockery turned to envy. Together, this broken man and abandoned child would create something that Silicon Valley's elite never saw coming. Follow my story to the end and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. The February wind cut through Marcus Sterling's threadbare coat like accusations from his past. He pulled the collar higher, though it did nothing against Chicago's brutal winter or the memories that haunted him at 3 a.m. The diner's neon sign flickered overhead, Marie's 24-hour, casting sick yellow light on the frost-covered sidewalk. 3 years. 3 years since he'd stood in a boardroom worth $50 million. 3 years since the FBI raids the headlines the divorce papers served, while journalists filmed from his driveway. Now he sat in a cracked vinyl booth, stretching a $2 coffee across 3 hours. "You want anything else, honey?" Marie herself stood beside his table coffee pot in hand. She was 70, if she was a day, with eyes that had seen every kind of broken person Chicago could produce. "Just the coffee, Marie." She studied him. Marcus knew what she saw. Designer shoes were sold with duct tape, a Rolex with a cracked face he couldn't afford to fix the ghost of a man who once owned 3 homes on Lakeshore Drive. "You know," Marie said quietly, "my husband lost everything in '87. Market crash. We rebuilt. Some things can't be rebuilt. Everything can be rebuilt, Mr. Sterling, just not the same way twice." She moved on to other customers. Marcus returned to his notebook pages filled with business plans no one would fund, algorithms no one would buy. Not from him. Not from the man whose name had become synonymous with the largest Ponzi scheme collapse in Chicago history. Never mind that he'd been the victim, not the perpetrator. The diner door burst open. A small figure darted between tables, quick as smoke, dark hair tangled and long, clothes layered against the cold, at least 3 coats each more torn than the last. The child, a girl Marcus realized, moved with desperate efficiency, snatching a half-eaten sandwich from an abandoned plate. "Hey, Jorge the cook emerged from the kitchen with surprising speed for his size. "That's the 3rd time this week." The girl bolted for the door. Marcus didn't think. His hand shot out, catching her shoulder. Not hard, just enough to stop her momentum. The sandwich fell scattering across the checkered floor. The girl spun to face him. Marcus's breath caught. Her eyes green sharp as broken glass held intelligence that seemed to dissect him in seconds. She couldn't be more than 9, but those eyes belonged to someone who'd already learned every hard lesson life offered. "Let go." Her voice was steady, not pleading, just stating a fact like she was explaining gravity to someone too stupid to understand. Marcus released her immediately. "I'm sorry. That's the homeless kid," someone whispered from another booth. "Been stealing food all week. Someone should call the cops." "Already did," Jorge said, phone in hand. "Social services is coming." The girl's composure cracked. Just for a second. Terror flashed across her features before she locked it down, chin lifting with dignity that shouldn't exist in someone so young, so obviously desperate. Marcus stood. "How much for the sandwich?" Jorge looked confused. "What?" "The sandwich she took. I'm paying for it, and—" Marcus looked at the girl. "Are you hungry?" She didn't answer, but her stomach did. The growl was audible 3 feet away. "Sit," Marcus said, gesturing to his booth. "Please?" Marcus Sterling, a man in an expensive suit, had turned to watch from the counter. Richard Lawson, a junior executive from Marcus's old firm. "Is that really you, playing charity with money you don't have?" A ripple of recognition passed through the diner. Marcus Sterling, the $50 million fool. The cautionary tale every business school professor told. The girl heard it all. Her eyes narrowed, calculating, but she slid into the booth. "What's your name?" Marcus asked, ignoring the stares. Silence. "I'm Marcus." "I heard." She studied him with unnerving focus. "You're the man who lost everything." "Yes." Why did I lose everything?" "No." She leaned forward. "Why are you helping me?" Marcus considered lying. saying something about kindness, about doing the right thing. Instead, he told the truth. Because you remind me of someone. Who? Me. 20 years ago. Hungry. Angry. Too smart for my own good. Something shifted in her expression. Sophia, she said finally. My name is Sophia. Marie appeared with a menu. What'll it be, sweetheart? Sophia's eyes widened at the options. Marcus watched her trace the words with one finger, lips moving slightly. She was reading everything, memorizing prices, calculating. The turkey dinner, she said finally. With extra gravy and milk. Coming right up. They sat in silence while Sophia devoured her meal with mechanical efficiency, like she wasn't sure when she'd eat again. Probably because she wasn't. Where are your parents? Marcus asked. Sophia's fork paused. Dead. Both. Mom died 6 weeks ago. Never knew my dad. Foster care? She snorted. Tried that. First house, the man liked to visit my room at night. I broke his nose with a dictionary and ran. Marcus's hands clenched under the table. How old are you? 9. School. For the first time, real emotion broke through longing so intense it made Marcus's chest tight. I loved school, before Mom got sick. Math, especially. I was in 6th grade math even though I was in 3rd grade. The teachers wanted to skip me ahead more, but Mom said I needed to be with kids my age. She laughed bitterly. A lot of good that did. Do you miss it? Learning? Sophia reached into her coat, the innermost one, and pulled out a battered textbook. Advanced calculus. College level. I find books, she said simply. Libraries throw them out when they're damaged. I fix them with tape. Marcus opened the textbook. The margins were filled with notes in precise handwriting, solutions to problems, corrections to the textbook's errors, corrections to the textbook's errors. You found mistakes. Sophia shrugged. 3 so far. The author makes assumptions about infinite series that don't hold in all cases. Marcus stared at her. This 9-year-old homeless girl was correcting college calculus textbooks. Sophia, have you ever taken an IQ test? No, Mom said they're just numbers, that what matters is what you do with what you have. Your mom sounds smart. She was. Sophia's voice cracked slightly. She was a nurse, worked 3 jobs to keep us in an apartment near a good school. Then she got sick. Cancer. Everything we had went to treatments that didn't work. The door chimed. 2 people entered, a tired-looking woman with a social services badge and a Chicago police officer. Sophia went rigid. It's okay, Marcus said quickly. Let me handle this. The social worker approached. I'm Helen Martinez. We received a call about a minor stealing food. A misunderstanding, Marcus said. She's with me. Helen's eyes took in the scene, the clearly homeless child, the obviously struggling man. And you are Marcus Sterling. He made a decision that would change everything. I'm interested in becoming her foster parent. The silence in the diner was deafening. Then someone laughed. Richard Lawson, still at the counter, actually laughed. Marcus Sterling wants to foster a kid. You can't even foster a goldfish in that studio apartment you're renting. With what money? Another voice added. Heard you're doing consulting work for $20 an hour. 30, Marcus corrected quietly. And that's not your business. Helen Martinez recognized the name. Everyone in Chicago did. Mr. Sterling fostering requires extensive background checks, home visits, proof of stable income. I know the requirements. With respect, your recent history. My recent history is that I was the victim of a crime, not the perpetrator. Vincent Blackwood stole $50 million and let me take the fall. The FBI cleared me of wrongdoing. But not of poor judgment, Richard added, earning chuckles from other patrons. Sophia had been silent through this exchange, but now she stood. You're all pathetic. The diner went quiet. She pointed at Richard. You're wearing an Armani suit that costs $3,000. Your watch is a Omega Seamaster, but your shoes are knockoffs and you've had your jacket dry cleaned so many times the fabric is shining at the elbows. You're pretending to be richer than you are. Richard's face went red. Sophia turned to another table. You've been nursing the same coffee for 2 hours, just like Mr. Sterling, but you judge him for being poor. That wedding ring you keep touching the tan line is fresh. Recent divorce. You're here because you can't afford anywhere else either. And you, she faced Helen Martinez. You have 17 active cases. I can see the files in your bag. You're overwhelmed, underpaid, and you've already decided to put me back in the group home where bigger kids steal my food and the supervisor locks the library because kids like me don't need to be reading above their grade level. Helen's mouth opened, then closed. Sophia looked at Marcus. At least he's honest about being broken. She sat back down and returned to her turkey dinner. Marcus felt something shift in his chest, something that had been frozen for 3 years. Ms. Martinez, he said, I'd like to start the application process, tonight. Mr. Sterling, I appreciate the gesture, but it's not a gesture. He met her eyes. I have a 1-bedroom apartment. She can have the bedroom. I'll take the couch. I have steady consulting work references from 3 clients. I have no criminal record, no history of violence or substance abuse. I'm not rich anymore, but I'm not destitute. And I can offer her something the system can't, which is... Marcus looked at Sophia, who was listening while pretending not to. Understanding. I know what it's like to lose everything and have everyone think you're worthless because of it. I know what it's like to be too smart for your own good and have that intelligence become a liability instead of an asset. Helen pulled out a tablet. There's a process. Home inspection, background checks, financial verification, interviews. It takes months. Then let's start. She'll need to go to a group home tonight. No. Sophia's voice was sharp. I'll run. The moment you turn around, I'll disappear. I've done it before. Sophia, Helen began. Test me. Give me any math problem, any puzzle. If I solve it, you let me stay with him tonight pending the official process. Helen looked skeptical. This isn't a game show. The Riemann hypothesis, Richard called out from the counter, smirking. If you're so smart, explain the Riemann hypothesis. Sophia turned to him. The Riemann hypothesis suggests that all non-trivial zeros of the Riemann zeta function have a real part equal to 1/2. It's one of the 7 Millennium Prize problems. If proven, it would have profound implications for the distribution of prime numbers. She grabbed a napkin and began writing equations. The zeta function is defined as... For 5 minutes, she covered napkins with mathematics that made Richard's smirk fade. Even Marcus, who had an MBA from Wharton, could barely follow. Of course, Sophia concluded, a complete proof remains elusive, but Terence Tao's work on approximate formulas suggests we're closer than ever. The diner was silent. Helen Martinez closed her tablet. I'll need to do a preliminary home visit, tonight. If it meets basic safety requirements, I can grant emergency temporary custody pending full review. Thank you, Marcus said. As Helen made phone calls and arranged the visit, Sophia looked at Marcus. Why? She asked again. Because someone should have done it for me when I was your age. No one did. That's not a good reason to ruin your life. My life's already ruined. Maybe helping you is how I fix it. Or maybe I'll ruin it more. Maybe. Marcus smiled the first real smile in 3 years. But at least it'll be interesting. They left the diner together 2 hours later after Helen's preliminary approval. The whispers followed them out, the failed millionaire and the homeless genius, 2 broken pieces that didn't fit anywhere else. The walk to Marcus's apartment took 20 minutes. Sophia carried her textbook and a plastic bag containing her only other possessions. 2 changes of clothes, a toothbrush, and a photo of a woman who looked like an older version of Sophia. Your mom? Marcus asked. Yeah. She was beautiful. She was brilliant, Sophia corrected. She could have been anything. Instead, she had me. Don't say that. Why, it's true. She got pregnant at 17, never finished college, spent her whole life taking care of me instead of becoming the doctor she wanted to be. They climbed 3 flights of stairs. Marcus's apartment was at the end of a narrow hallway that smelled like cabbage and disappointment. Home sweet home, he said, unlocking the door. The apartment was small but clean. 1 bedroom, a kitchenette, a living room with a couch that had seen better decades, but the walls were lined with books. Business, mathematics, philosophy, history, thousands of them. Sophia's eyes went wide. You kept them. The books they couldn't liquidate knowledge, though they tried. She walked along the shelves, fingers trailing across spines. Fermat's last theorem, Gödel's incompleteness, the black skulls model. You know black skulls. The equation that destroyed the economy in 2008? Yeah, I know it. Also know why it failed. They assume normal distributions when markets follow power laws. Marcus stared at her. You're 9. So most 9-year-olds are learning multiplication tables. Most 9-year-olds haven't spent 6 weeks calculating how many meals they can skip before organ failure begins. The casual darkness of the statement hit Marcus like cold water. The bedroom's yours, he said, opening the door. It's not much. Sophia stepped inside. A single bed, a desk, a window overlooking an alley. To Marcus, it looked like failure. To Sophia, it looked like safety. It's perfect, she whispered. There's a school 2 blocks away. We'll get you enrolled tomorrow. They won't know what to do with me. Then we'll figure something else out. Sophia sat on the bed, testing the mattress. Everyone's going to tell you this is a mistake. Everyone's been telling me that for 3 years. I've stopped listening. What if they're right? Marcus sat beside her. Then we'll be mistakes together. That night, Marcus gave Sophia his only pillow and slept on the couch with a rolled-up jacket under his head. At 2 a.m., he woke to find her standing by the bookshelf, reading by the light from the street. Couldn't sleep. I haven't slept through a night since Mom died. She didn't look up from the book Advanced Quantum Mechanics. Did you know that particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed? Schrödinger's cat. Yeah, sometimes I feel like that cat, existing in multiple states, dead and alive, here and not here, smart and stupid, worth saving and worth throwing away. You're worth saving. You don't know me. I know enough. How? Marcus joined her by the bookshelf. Because you correct calculus textbooks for fun. Because you stood up to a room full of adults who were mocking us. Because despite everything that's happened to you, you're still trying to learn, still trying to understand the world instead of just being angry at it. I am angry at it. Good. Anger's useful. It's fuel. The question is what you burn it for. Sophia finally looked at him. What did you burn yours for, Opim? Success. Money. Proving everyone wrong. All the wrong things. And now, Marcus looked at this strange, brilliant child who had crashed into his life like a meteor. Now I'm going to burn it for you. The next morning, Marcus woke to the smell of coffee. Sophia stood in the kitchenette, having figured out his ancient coffee maker. You drink coffee. Mom worked nights. I learned to make it for her when I was 5. They sat at the small table sharing instant oatmeal and planning their day. School first, Marcus said. They'll put me in 4th grade. I'll be bored out of my mind. Then we'll get you tested, properly placed. With what money? Let me worry about that. A knock at the door interrupted them. Helen Martinez stood in the hallway with a thick folder. Morning inspection, she announced, entering without invitation. She photographed everything, made notes, checked the refrigerator, mostly empty, the bathroom clean, the bedroom. Sophia had made the bed with military precision. This is temporary, Helen emphasized. There will be weekly visits. Any signs of neglect or abuse? There won't be, Marcus interrupted. Your financial situation, I have 3 consulting contracts. It's enough. Helen looked skeptical but made more notes. Sophia needs to be enrolled in school immediately. We're going today. She needs proper clothes. Marcus looked at Sophia's layered torn coats. We'll handle it. Medical checkup, dental exam, psychological evaluation. We'll do it all. Helen studied him. Why are you doing this, Mr. Sterling, really? Marcus glanced at Sophia, who was pretending to read while listening to every word. Because everyone deserves a second chance, even former millionaires, even homeless geniuses. After Helen left, they walked to Jefferson Elementary. The principal, Mrs. Davidson, was a thin woman who looked like she'd given up on public education sometime in the Clinton administration. Fourth grade, she said after reviewing Sophia's non-existent transcripts. We'll put her in Mr. Peterson's class. She needs to be tested, Marcus insisted. She's gifted. Mrs. Davidson's look suggested she'd heard this from every parent ever. We have standardized assessments in 6 weeks. She's doing college-level mathematics. Mr. Sterling. Sophia picked up a math workbook from Mrs. Davidson's desk. 8th grade algebra. She flipped to the back, grabbed a pencil, and solved 3 pages of problems in under 2 minutes. All correct. Mrs. Davidson blinked. We have a gifted program, but it's full. There's a waiting list. Then test her for high school. She's 9. Test her anyway. The argument continued for an hour. Finally, Mrs. Davidson agreed to have Sophia tested by the district's gifted education specialist. The test was scheduled for the following week. In the meantime, Sophia would attend 4th grade. Her first day was a disaster. Marcus picked her up to find her sitting in the principal's office, a boy with a bloody nose crying in the chair beside her. She hit him, Mrs. Davidson announced. He said I was lying about knowing calculus, Sophia said calmly. So I proved it on the board. Then he said my mom was probably a prostitute since I'm homeless. So I proved that force equals mass times acceleration using his face. Marcus bit his lip to keep from laughing. Sophia, violence isn't... I know, Mom always said to use my words, but sometimes words aren't enough. The boy's parents arrived, took one look at Sophia's torn clothes and Marcus's obvious poverty, and demanded she be expelled. She's a menace, the father declared, probably mentally disturbed. Your son has a C average and can't do long division, Sophia said. Maybe focus on that instead of my mental state. The meeting devolved from there. Sophia was suspended for 3 days. Walking home, Marcus expected her to be upset. Instead, she seemed thoughtful. I don't fit there, she said simply. We'll find where you do fit. What if that place doesn't exist? Then we'll build it. That evening, while Sophia did calculus problems for fun, Marcus made phone calls. His old contacts, the few who still took his calls, looking for more consulting work. He needed money for the gifted test, for new clothes, for food that wasn't instant noodles. Sterling. The voice on the phone was familiar. Dr. Elizabeth Chen, a data scientist he'd worked with before his fall. I heard you were blacklisted. I heard that too. Doesn't mean I can't consult. What's your rate? $50 an hour. That's insulting. To you. It's what I need. Elizabeth paused. I have a project. Financial modeling for a startup. It's complex. Probably 3 months of work. Send me the details. After the call, Marcus found Sophia staring at his laptop, which was open to his bank account. $347.82. That's all you have. It's enough. For now. What about next month? What about when the state realizes you can't actually afford me? Marcus sat beside her. You know what I learned losing $50 million? What? Money isn't really real. It's just numbers on screens, promises people make to each other. What's real is this, you and me figuring it out. That's a nice philosophy. Doesn't pay rent. No, but it helps you sleep at night. I don't sleep at night. Neither do I. Maybe that's why we found each other. Sophia was quiet for a moment. Mr. Sterling. Marcus. Just Marcus. Marcus. What if I'm too broken to fix... He thought about all the therapists his ex-wife had made him see, all the medications for depression he'd flushed down the toilet, all the nights he'd stood on the Lake Michigan shore, wondering if walking into the water would be easier than walking home. Then we'll be broken together. Sometimes broken pieces fit better than whole ones. That night, Marcus gave Sophia his laptop to use for research. She dove into online mathematics forums, solving problems that had stumped graduate students, posting under the username GhostGirl9. Within hours, her solutions were being shared, discussed, dissected. Someone from MIT's mathematics department asked if she was a professor. Tell them you're 9, Marcus suggested. They won't believe me. Good. Mystery is valuable. The next day, while Sophia was suspended, Marcus took her to the Salvation Army for clothes. She stood in the fluorescent-lit aisles, touching fabrics with careful fingers. "Pick whatever you want," Marcus said. "I want things that fit. That's all." They found 3 outfits that looked almost new shoes without holes and a winter coat that actually closed. Total cost $43. Marcus watched his bank account drop to $304.82. Worth it to see Sophia stand straight or walk without holding her coat closed with both hands. "You look like a student now," he said. "I've always been a student. Now I just look like one people will take seriously." The district's gifted education specialist was Dr. Amanda Wright, a woman with kind eyes and a Harvard PhD in psychology. She arrived at the school with a briefcase full of tests. "These assessments will take most of the day," she warned Marcus. "I've got nowhere else to be," Sophia said. 6 hours later, Dr. Wright emerged looking stunned. "Mr. Sterling, may I speak with you privately?" They stood in the hallway while Sophia waited in the testing room. "I've been doing this for 20 years, Dr. Wright began. "I've tested thousands of children. I've never seen results like this." "What's her IQ?" "We can't measure it accurately. She maxed out every scale I have. Stanford, Benet, Wexler, Woodcock, Johnson. She hit the ceiling on all of them. Conservative estimate above 160, possibly above 180. Marcus felt his knees go weak. 180. She's not just gifted, Mr. Sterling. She's profoundly gifted, possibly genius level. Her mathematical reasoning is postgraduate level. Her verbal comprehension is off the charts. Her processing speed. Dr. Wright shook her head. She solved problems faster than I could read them. So what do we do? She doesn't belong in elementary school, or middle school, or high school, honestly. She needs specialized education. The Prometheus Academy. I've heard of it. $30,000 a year tuition. They have scholarships. Not full scholarships. Dr. Wright looked uncomfortable. Mr. Sterling, a mind like Sophia's. It's once in a generation. Maybe once in several generations. If she doesn't get proper nurturing, she'll get it. How? Marcus didn't have an answer. The rejection letter from Prometheus Academy arrived on a Tuesday. Marcus found it slipped under his apartment door, the expensive paper mocking their circumstances. Dear Mr. Sterling, while we are impressed with Sophia's exceptional test results, our scholarship committee has concerns about the stability of her living situation. Sophia read over his shoulder. They mean you're too poor. They mean they're careful about their investments. Same thing. Marcus crumpled the letter, then smoothed it out, then crumpled it again. It's fine, Sophia said. I don't need their school. Yes, you do. No, I need to learn. That's different from needing school. She was already at his laptop, diving into MIT's OpenCourseWare, downloading lectures on linear algebra and differential equations. Marcus watched her absorb information like a sponge that had been kept dry too long. Sophia, you need interaction with other kids. Other kids think I'm weird. Other gifted kids would think I'm weird and resent me for being smarter. She looked up from the screen. I've been the smartest person in every room since I was 4. It's not going to change. That sounds lonely. It is. She returned to the laptop. But I'm used to lonely. Marcus's phone rang. Elizabeth Chen, the data scientist who'd hired him for consulting. Marcus, I'm looking at your preliminary models. They're good, but there's an error in the third algorithm. He put her on speaker, pulling up the files. Where the predictive function assumes market stability that doesn't exist. You need to account for black swan events. Sophia looked up from her MIT lecture. She's wrong. Elizabeth's voice sharpened. Who's that? My foster daughter. Your foster daughter is commenting on advanced financial modeling. The error isn't in the third algorithm, Sophia said, abandoning her lecture. It's in the second. You're using Gaussian distributions when you should be using Levy flights. Markets don't follow normal distributions, they follow power laws with fat tails. Silence on the phone. How old is your foster daughter? Elizabeth finally asked. 9. More silence. Can she prove it? Sophia was already at the laptop, fingers flying across keys. I'm sending you the corrected model now. Check the backtesting against the 2008 crash data. Marcus watched Sophia work, her face illuminated by the screen. She wasn't just correcting the model, she was revolutionizing it, incorporating chaos theory and fractal mathematics that he'd never considered. Jesus Christ, Elizabeth breathed over the phone. Marcus, this is brilliant. Who is this kid? Someone special. Special. This is doctorate-level work. Postdoctorate. Can you bring her to my office tomorrow? Marcus glanced at Sophia, who nodded. We'll be there. Elizabeth's office was in a gleaming tower downtown, the kind of building Marcus used to own floors in. Now he needed a visitor's pass just to enter. Mr. Sterling, the security guard recognized him, face flushing. I heard about everything. I'm sorry. Nothing to be sorry for, James. Just life. They rode the elevator to the 32nd floor. Sophia stood perfectly still, but Marcus could see her mind working, calculating the building's height, from the elevator's acceleration, probably determining the cable tension from the slight vibration. Elizabeth Chen's company, Quantum Analytics, occupied half the floor. Glass walls exposed brick, the calculated casualness of tech culture. Marcus. Elizabeth met them at reception. She was younger than Marcus, early 30s, with the kind of focused intensity that built unicorn startups. And you must be Sophia. Sophia studied her. You went to MIT, graduated at 19, PhD from Stanford at 23. Your thesis was on applications of quantum computing to financial modeling. Elizabeth blinked. How did you? Your diploma is visible through your office window, the Stanford ring on your right hand, and you have quantum computing review on your desk with sticky notes on the pages about financial applications. Observant. Necessary. Sophia's tone was matter of fact. When you're small and homeless, you learn to read people quickly. It's survival. Elizabeth led them to a conference room where 3 other people waited, all young, all wearing the uniform of tech success, expensive casual. This is my team, Elizabeth said. David, machine learning, Raj, quantitative analysis, Maria, systems architecture. Why are we meeting a 9-year-old? David asked bluntly. Elizabeth pulled up Sophia's corrected model on the wall screen. Because this 9-year-old just solved a problem we've been working on for 6 months. The room fell silent as they examined the code. This is impossible, Raj said finally. The computational complexity alone is manageable if you use quantum principles, Sophia interrupted. You're thinking in binary. Markets aren't binary. They're quantum multiple states existing simultaneously until observed. Schrödinger's market, Maria murmured. Exactly. Sophia moved to the whiteboard, had to stand on a chair to reach it properly. Your model fails because it tries to predict specific outcomes, but markets don't have specific outcomes until they happen. They exist in probability clouds. She began writing equations, her small hand moving with surgical precision. The adults watched, transfixed, as a 9-year-old in second-hand clothes reconstructed their entire understanding of market dynamics. Here, Sophia said, finishing a particularly complex proof, this is where your model breaks. You're trying to calculate the future like it's math homework. But the future isn't homework, it's jazz, improvisation within structure. Jazz, David repeated skeptically. Charlie Parker, Sophia said. He knew all the rules of music theory. Then he broke them. But he broke them mathematically, following patterns that seemed chaotic but weren't. Markets are the same. They seem random but follow deep patterns. You just need to know which rules to break. Elizabeth leaned forward. Sophia, have you ever heard of high-frequency trading? The practice of using algorithms to execute thousands of trades per second, exploiting tiny price differences. What if I told you we're working on something bigger? Not high frequency, but high intelligence. AI-driven predictive modeling that doesn't just react to markets, but anticipates them. Sophia's eyes lit up. Using neural networks. Beyond neural networks, we're building something that thinks. Actually thinks, but we're stuck on the prediction problem. The AI can analyze, but it can't intuit. Because you're programming it to be logical. Markets aren't logical, they're psychological. You need to teach it to be irrational in predictable ways. The adults exchanged glances. Would you be interested in consulting for us? Elizabeth asked. Marcus started to object child labor laws, school requirements, but Sophia spoke first. How much, Sophia? Marcus began. How much? She repeated. Elizabeth smiled. $500 per hour. The room went silent. That's insulting, Sophia said. Elizabeth's smile widened. What do you think is fair? Percentage of profits generated by my algorithms. 2%. 1%. 1.5 plus the hourly rate for development time. Deal. They shook hands, the 9-year-old and the CEO, while Marcus tried to process what had just happened. Walking back to the apartment, Sophia was quiet. Finally, Marcus asked, How did you know to negotiate? I watched you. These 3 years, everyone's been taking advantage of your desperation, offering you insulting rates because they knew you'd take them. I'm desperate too, but I won't let them know it. You're 9. There are laws about children working in factories, not about prodigies consulting on theoretical mathematics. Besides, we need the money. She was right. The consulting fees would change everything, rent, food, maybe even Prometheus Academy. But that night, as Sophia worked on Elizabeth's algorithms, Marcus noticed something troubling. She wasn't just solving problems. She was inhabiting them, disappearing into mathematics like it was the only safe place left. When's the last time you played? He asked. Played what? Anything. Games, sports, whatever kids do. Sophia looked up from the screen. I'm not a kid. You're 9. I haven't been 9 since Mom died. Maybe not even before that. Sophia, do you want me to pretend? Would that make you feel better? I can pretend to care about dolls or video games or whatever normal 9-year-olds do. But we both know I'm not normal. I don't want you to pretend. I want you to be happy. Happy is a luxury we can't afford. The words hit Marcus like cold water. He heard his own voice in them, his own surrender to circumstances. No, he said firmly. Happy isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Without it, all of this, the money, the success, the intelligence, it's worthless. You weren't happy when you had $50 million. No, I wasn't. That's how I know. Sophia studied him. So what made you happy? Marcus thought about it. Honestly, this. Taking care of you, having someone to fight for besides myself. That's codependence. That's family. We're not family. We're a temporary arrangement pending state approval. Marcus sat beside her, gently closed the laptop. Sophia, I know you're scared of hoping for things. I know it feels safer to treat everything as temporary, to not get attached. But everyone leaves, she said quietly. Dad left before I was born. Mom left, even though she promised she wouldn't. First foster family left me at a bus station when I became inconvenient. Everyone leaves. I won't. You can't promise that. Watch me. Marcus took her hands. I promise I will not leave you, ever. They'll have to drag me away, and even then I'll find my way back. Sophia's eyes filled with tears she wouldn't let fall. That's a stupid promise. All the best promises are. She laughed, a small broken sound that might have been a sob. Then so quickly Marcus almost missed it. She hugged him, just for a second, then pulled back, reopening the laptop. I should finish this algorithm. Elizabeth needs it by tomorrow. Marcus let her retreat into mathematics. But something had shifted. A wall had cracked just slightly. The next morning, Helen Martinez arrived for her weekly inspection. She found Marcus making breakfast while Sophia worked on equations. She should be in school, Helen noted. She's suspended, remember, for proving force equals mass times acceleration. Helen almost smiled. The suspension ends tomorrow. She's enrolled at Jefferson Elementary. Is she attending? When she's not suspended for being smarter than everyone else. Helen made notes. Mr. Sterling, there are concerns. There always are. Sophia needs stability, structure, normal childhood experiences. Sophia needs to be challenged intellectually. She needs to be valued for who she is, not forced into a box she'll never fit in. The court will want to see traditional progress. School attendance, social activities, friends her own age. The court can want whatever it likes. I'm giving her what she actually needs. Helen's expression softened slightly. I'm trying to help. The review is in 2 months. If Judge Coleman doesn't see a normal, stable environment, He'll send her back to foster care where she'll run away again. That's not, that's exactly what will happen, and you know it. After Helen left, Sophia looked up from her work. You're going to lose me. No, I'm not. The system doesn't care about intelligence. It cares about conformity. I don't conform. Then we'll change the system. You can't fight the system. You tried that with your bankruptcy. How'd that work out? Marcus felt the familiar sting of failure, but then he looked at Sophia, brilliant and broken and brave, and felt something else. Determination. This time is different. Why? Because this time I'm not fighting for money or reputation. I'm fighting for you. That afternoon, Marcus took Sophia to the park. Not to play, she'd made her feelings about playing clear, but to work outside away from the apartment's walls. She sat on a bench laptop balanced on her knees, refining algorithms, while Marcus watched kids play on the swings. That could be you, he said. Swinging? Why, it's just pendulum motion. Predictable. Fun. It's supposed to be fun. So is mathematics. A woman approached with her daughter about Sophia's age. The girl wore a Prometheus Academy uniform. Excuse me, the woman said. Is that Sophia? From the testing last month? Sophia looked up warily. I'm Patricia Hendricks. My daughter Amy was tested the same day. She scored 145. Congratulations, Marcus said. Patricia's smile was sharp. I heard Sophia scored higher. We don't discuss scores, Marcus replied. Of course not. Patricia's eyes took in their obvious poverty, Sophia's second-hand clothes, Marcus's worn shoes. Such a shame about the scholarship. Prometheus only has funding for full rides for students who come from stable situations. We're perfectly stable, Marcus said. Of course you are. Her tone suggested otherwise. Well, Amy loves Prometheus. The advanced curriculum, the individual attention, the connections for university placement. Harvard accepts 40% of Prometheus graduates. She walked away, her daughter glancing back at Sophia with curiosity. She was trying to hurt us, Sophia observed. Yes. Did it work? Marcus watched Patricia and Amy get into a Mercedes. No, money can't buy what you have, Sophia. They know it. That's why they need to make us feel small. I am small. Your body is small. Your mind is infinite. That evening, Elizabeth called with news. Sophia's algorithm just made us $3 million. Marcus nearly dropped the phone. What? We tested it on a small fund. Overnight returns of 12%. That's impossible, except it happened. $3 million? Her percentage comes to 45,000. I'll wire it tomorrow. Marcus looked at Sophia, who was reading a quantum physics textbook like it was Harry Potter. Elizabeth? She's 9. She's also the smartest person I've ever met, including my professors at MIT. This is too much pressure. Marcus, do you know what she said to me today? She said money is just energy. It flows where it's needed. Right now it needs to flow to us so we can do bigger things. A 9-year-old understands economics better than most CEOs. After the call, Marcus told Sophia about the money. 45,000, she repeated. That's enough for Prometheus, for a year at least. Is that what you want? Sophia considered. I want to learn. If Prometheus is the best place, then yes. But do you want to be around those kids, Patricia's daughter and others like her? I don't want to be around anyone, but isolation isn't sustainable. Even I know that. Marcus made the call to Prometheus the next morning. With 45,000 in the bank, suddenly they were very interested in Sophia's application. We can schedule an interview for next week, the admissions director said. Of course, we'll need to verify the stability of the funds. The funds are stable, and Sophia will need to pass our social integration assessment, which is a day spent with current students to ensure she's a good fit for our community. Marcus looked at Sophia, who was already shaking her head. She'll be there, he said anyway. The Prometheus Academy looked like what would happen if Harvard and Google had a baby. Perfect lawns, solar panels, students in tailored uniforms discussing Proust in multiple languages. Sophia stood at the entrance in her best second-hand outfit, looking like a sparrow among peacocks. You belong here, Marcus told her. No, I don't, but I can pretend. The admissions director, Dr. Catherine Faulkner, was everything Marcus remembered hating about academic gatekeepers. Polished, condescending, and deeply skeptical of anything that didn't fit her worldview. "Sophia," she said, barely glancing at the girl, "you'll spend the day with our accelerated mathematics cohort. They're currently working on differential equations." "I finished differential equations when I was 7. Dr. Faulkner's smile tightened. "How wonderful. I'm sure you'll find our approach enriching." The classroom was filled with 12 and 13-year-olds all working on problems that would challenge college students. They looked up when Sophia entered, their expressions ranging from curiosity to disdain. "Class, this is Sophia. She's considering joining us." A boy in the front row smirked. "Isn't she a little young?" "Age is irrelevant," the teacher, Mr. Rostov, said. "Mathematics doesn't care how old you are." He handed Sophia a worksheet. "Please complete these problems so we can assess your level." Sophia glanced at the sheet. "These are wrong." "Excuse me?" "Problems 3 and 7. They're improperly formulated. The boundary conditions don't match the equations." Mr. Rostov's face reddened. "These problems were designed by the International Mathematics Olympiad Committee." Then the committee made a mistake. She walked to the board, drew the problems as written, then showed why they were impossible to solve correctly. The room fell silent. "She's right," whispered a girl in the back. Mr. Rostov examined the work, his embarrassment shifting to interest. "How did you see that so quickly?" "I don't see mathematics. I feel it. When something's wrong, it feels itchy. Itchy. Like wearing a shirt with the tag still in." The boy who'd smirked earlier raised his hand. "If you're so smart, solve this." He wrote an equation on the board, the kind that would take most people hours. Sophia studied it for 10 seconds. Then she wrote the answer. "You memorized it," the boy accused. "Fine." Sophia turned to the class. "Give me any problem. Make it up. Make it as hard as you can." They did. For the next hour, they threw increasingly complex problems at her. She solved them all not with the mechanical precision of a calculator, but with elegant creativity that made the other students lean forward in their seats. "How?" the girl in the back finally asked. Sophia shrugged. "How do you breathe? You just do. This is just what my brain does." At lunch, she sat alone until the girl from class joined her. "I'm Rebecca. I'm 12. IQ 152. Sophia, 9. IQ untestable." "Untestable? Apparently I broke their scales." Rebecca laughed. "That must be lonely." "It is. It's lonely here too, just so you know. Being smart doesn't make you friends. It just makes you useful when homework's due." "Then why stay?" "Because the education is real." Mr. Rostov. "He has a PhD from Princeton. The physics teacher worked at CERN. Where else would we get that?" Sophia nodded. "Fair point. Plus," Rebecca lowered her voice, "full scholarship kids get access to everything. The labs, the connections, the college prep. Patricia Hendricks might treat you like dirt, but her father's connections could get you into any university in the world." "I don't care about connections." "You will, when you're ready for graduate school at 13 and need someone to pull strings." After lunch, Dr. Faulkner interviewed Sophia privately. "Your mathematical abilities are impressive," she admitted, "but Prometheus isn't just about academics. It's about character, leadership, social grace." "You mean wealth?" "I mean the ability to navigate complex social situations. Like pretending poor kids belong here." Dr. Faulkner's expression hardened. "That attitude is exactly what concerns me." "My attitude or my honesty?" Prometheus students represent our institution in the wider world. They need to be polished." "Polished?" Sophia stood. "You mean compliant? Grateful? Willing to pretend that intelligence matters more than income here when we both know it doesn't?" "Sophia, I solved every problem your best students could create. I corrected errors in your curriculum, but I'm not polished enough." She walked to the door, then turned back. "You know what? Keep your school. I'll learn more from YouTube and MIT's free courses than from teachers who care more about my table manners than my mind." Marcus was waiting in the parking lot. He saw her expression and started the car without asking questions. Halfway home, Sophia said, "I ruined it." What happened? She told him. Marcus listened, then pulled over. I'm proud of you. Proud I just threw away Prometheus Academy. You stood up for yourself. You refused to be less than you are just to fit in. That's worth more than any academy. But my education will happen whether you're at Prometheus or not. You're Sophia. You broke IQ tests. You solved problems that stumped graduate students. You made $3 million with an algorithm you designed in our kitchen. You don't need them. Then what do I need? Marcus thought about it. Time. Space to grow. Someone who believes in you unconditionally. I have that. Always. That night, Elizabeth called again. The algorithm made another 7 million today. Marcus nearly choked. 7. Marcus, I need to discuss something. What Sophia's created, it's revolutionary. I want to offer her a permanent position, not as a consultant, but as chief algorithm architect. She's 9. She's also designing systems that my PhDs can't even understand. I'll work around any legal issues. She can work from home, set her own hours, full benefits, 6-figure salary. Marcus looked at Sophia, who was listening while pretending to read. I'll discuss it with her. After he hung up, Sophia said, I want to do it. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of money, enough that you don't have to worry anymore. Enough that the state can't say you're too poor to keep me. Sophia, I don't want you working just to... I'm not. I love the work. The money's just a bonus. But it's a bonus we need. She was right. The custody review was in 6 weeks. Having Sophia employed even unconventionally would show stability. Okay, but conditions, regular hours, time for other things, and you have to try to make friends. Friends are inefficient. Friends are necessary. Fine, I'll try. The next day, while Sophia worked on algorithms, Marcus got a call from someone he hadn't heard from in 3 years. Vincent Blackwood, his former partner, the man who'd stolen everything. Hello, Marcus. The voice slithered through the phone like oil over water. Marcus's hand tightened on the device until his knuckles went white. Vincent. Sophia looked up from her laptop, immediately alert. She'd never heard Marcus's voice carry that particular combination of rage and fear. I heard an interesting rumor, Vincent continued. Marcus Sterling playing daddy to some homeless prodigy, making waves in the quant world. Elizabeth Chen's been bragging about her new secret weapon. What do you want? Direct as always. I admired that about you before you became so problematic. Problematic. You stole $50 million and destroyed my life. Vincent laughed. The court disagreed. No evidence, remember, just bad investments and poor judgment on your part. Marcus wanted to throw the phone through the window. Instead, he put it on speaker and gestured for Sophia to listen. I asked what you want. I want to meet your little genius. I have a proposition. Go to hell. Now, hear me out. I'm launching a new fund, Blackwood Quantum Capital. We're seeking algorithmic advantages. I'll pay 10 times whatever Elizabeth is offering. She's not for sale. Everyone's for sale, Marcus. You taught me that. And you taught me that some people aren't worth any price. Vincent's tone hardened. Don't be stupid. You're one custody hearing away from losing the girl anyway. Work with me, and I'll ensure the judge sees a stable, profitable situation. Fight me, and I'll make sure he sees an unstable, vengeful man unfit to raise a child. You're threatening a 9-year-old. I'm offering opportunity. There's a difference. Marcus looked at Sophia, who was already shaking her head. The answer is no. You haven't even heard my full offer. Marcus hung up. Sophia closed her laptop. That's the man who destroyed you. Yes. He's going to cause problems. Yes. We should destroy him back. Marcus knelt beside her. Sophia, revenge isn't... It's not revenge, it's justice. He stole from you. He's probably stealing from others. People like that don't stop unless someone stops them. It's not our fight? Sophia studied him. Yes, it is. He made it our fight the moment he threatened you. Threatened us. That afternoon, while Marcus was in the shower, Sophia did something she hadn't told him she could do. She hacked into Blackwood's servers. It wasn't even that hard. Men like Vincent Blackwood believed their own arrogance was security enough. His passwords were predictable, his firewalls outdated. What she found made her stomach turn. Hundreds of investors, mostly elderly, pouring retirement savings into Blackwood's fund. Returns that were mathematically impossible, clearly fabricated. A Ponzi scheme just like the one that had destroyed Marcus, but bigger, more elaborate. She downloaded everything onto an encrypted drive. When Marcus emerged from the shower, she showed him. Sophia, this is illegal. So is stealing from grandmothers. Look at this. Mrs. Chen, 73, invested her entire retirement. Mr. Rodriguez, 81, took out a mortgage on his paid-off house to invest. Marcus examined the data. The fraud was obvious once you knew where to look. Vincent had gotten better at hiding it, but not good enough to fool Sophia's pattern recognition. We should go to the FBI, Marcus said. With illegally obtained evidence, they can't use it. Then what? We make him expose himself, legally. Sophia pulled up her algorithm, the one making millions for Elizabeth. What if we offered him this, but modified? A Trojan horse that looks like it's making money, but actually exposes his real trades. That's dangerous. Yes, illegal, no. We'd be giving him exactly what he asked for, an algorithm. Not our fault if it reveals his crimes in the process. Marcus stared at this 9-year-old discussing corporate espionage like she was planning a tea party. Sophia, he's dangerous. When cornered men like Vincent destroy everything around them. I know. That's why we need insurance. She pulled up another screen. Security footage from Marcus's old company dated 3 years ago. The timestamp showed 2 a.m., 3 days before the FBI raid. Vincent clearly visible downloading files from Marcus's computer. How did you? The backup servers still exist. The company that bought your building never changed the access codes. This proves Vincent had access to your accounts, that he could have made those trades in your name. Marcus sat down heavily. This could clear me? It could. But if we use it now, Vincent will know we're on to him. Better to wait until he's desperate. When did you become a strategic genius? When I was 6 and figured out how to hide food from bigger foster kids. Strategy is just survival with better vocabulary. The next morning, Vincent called again. I don't like being hung up on Marcus. I don't like being threatened. Let's try this differently. I'm hosting an investor presentation tomorrow night. The Ritz-Carlton, black tie. Bring your little genius. Let her see how the real world works. She's 9. Mozart was composing at 5. Age is just a number. After Vincent hung up, Sophia said, we should go. Sophia. He's up to something. Better to see it coming than be blindsided. Marcus didn't own a tuxedo anymore. He'd sold them all along with everything else of value. But Elizabeth, hearing about the invitation, insisted on helping. Vincent Blackwood is poison, she said, arriving at their apartment with garment bags. But knowing your enemy is valuable. She'd brought a tuxedo for Marcus, and surprisingly a formal dress for Sophia. I guessed your size, Elizabeth told her. My niece is about your age. The dress was midnight blue, simple but elegant. Sophia held it like it might disappear. I've never worn anything this nice. You deserve nice things, Elizabeth said firmly. Both of you do. As she helped Sophia with her hair, Elizabeth asked, do you understand what Vincent is? A predator? Yes, and predators look for weakness, show none. I don't have weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. The trick is making them look like strengths. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom glittered with the kind of wealth Marcus used to take for granted. Crystal chandelier champagne that cost more than most people's rent conversations about tax shelters and yacht purchases. Vincent stood at the center, unchanged by 3 years, still handsome in that polished way that made people trust him with their money. Marcus. He approached with arms wide as if they were old friends. And this must be Sophia. Sophia didn't extend her hand. Mr. Blackwood. Such formality. Please call me Vincent. I prefer accuracy to familiarity. Vincent's smile flickered. Clever. I heard you were clever. I heard you were a thief. The room seemed to pause. Several investors turned to stare. Vincent laughed too loud. Children, so direct. Come, let me introduce you to some people. He led them through the crowd, making introductions. Sophia noticed patterns immediately. The youngest investor was 60. Most were older. All were being shown returns that violated basic mathematical principles. Mr. Davidson, Vincent was saying to an elderly man, Meet Marcus Sterling and his ward, Sophia. Sterling. Mr. Davidson squinted. Weren't you involved in that scandal? Marcus was exonerated, Vincent said smoothly. Unfortunate misunderstanding. He's consulting now, and Sophia here is something of a mathematics prodigy. Is that so? Mr. Davidson looked skeptical. My grandson claims to be good at math, too. Your grandson is probably good at arithmetic, Sophia said. I'm good at mathematics. There's a difference. What kind of difference? Sophia picked up a champagne flute empty she wasn't stupid enough to drink and dipped her finger in the residual liquid. She drew an equation on the pristine tablecloth. This is the Black-Scholes model your fund manager is using to price derivatives. See this variable here? It assumes constant volatility. Markets don't have constant volatility. They have stochastic volatility that follows a mean-reverting square root process. She drew another equation. This is the Heston model, more accurate. And this, another equation, is what actually happens in markets. Chaos theory applied to financial systems. Mr. Davidson stared at the tablecloth. You're saying our investments are based on faulty math. I'm saying your investments are based on impossible math. The returns Mr. Blackwood is showing, they violate the efficient market hypothesis, the law of large numbers, and basic probability theory. The room had gone quiet. Vincent's face was stone. Perhaps Sophia doesn't understand the proprietary strategies we employ. I understand fraud pretty well. Sophia turned to address the room. Would anyone like to see the mathematical proof that these returns are fabricated? That's enough, Vincent said sharply. Is it because I'm just getting started? Marcus put a hand on her shoulder, not to stop her, to support her. An elderly woman in pearls stepped forward. I'd like to see this proof. Sophia walked to the presentation screen Vincent had been using. She pulled out her phone, connected it wirelessly, a trick that made Vincent's tech team scramble, and began displaying equations. Here's Mr. Blackwood's claimed returns for the last quarter, 17%. Consistent, no down days. That's a Sharpe ratio of 4.2. For context, Bernie Madoff's fake returns had a Sharpe ratio of 4.0. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. But here's the interesting part, Sophia continued. Look at the correlation pattern. She pulled up a graph. These returns follow a perfect sine wave with added Gaussian noise. Nature doesn't create perfect patterns. Computers do. This is ridiculous, Vincent said. She's a child who just proved you're running a Ponzi scheme. The room erupted. Investors pushed forward, demanding answers. Vincent's security team moved to escort Marcus and Sophia out. But Elizabeth Chen appeared with her own security. She'd been waiting outside, recording everything on her phone. I think these people deserve answers, Vincent, she said loudly. Vincent's composure finally cracked. You set me up. No, Marcus said. You set yourself up 3 years ago when you destroyed my life. We just gave you the rope. You have no proof of anything from 3 years ago. Sophia held up her phone. Security footage. You accessing Marcus's computer 3 days before the FBI raid. Time-stamped. Verified. Vincent went pale. You little bitch! He stepped toward Sophia. Marcus moved to block him, but Sophia didn't need protection. She stepped aside, and Vincent, drunk on champagne and rage, stumbled into a table, sending glasses crashing. Mr. Blackwood, an elderly investor said coldly, I'll be withdrawing my funds Monday morning. As will I, said another, and another. Within minutes, Vincent Blackwood watched $50 million in investments evaporate, the same amount he'd stolen from Marcus. You've destroyed me, he told Sophia. No, you destroyed yourself. I just did the math. Security arrived, real security, not Vincent's hired muscle. Someone had called the SEC. Vincent was escorted out in handcuffs while news crews alerted by Elizabeth filmed everything. In the car afterward, Marcus was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, That was dangerous. Yes, you could have been hurt, but I wasn't. You planned all of this. Most of it. Elizabeth calling the news was her idea. Marcus pulled over, turned to face her. Sophia, what you did tonight was justice, was revenge. Sometimes they're the same thing. And sometimes revenge consumes the person seeking it. Sophia met his eyes. Did you feel consumed or did you feel free? Marcus thought about it, watching Vincent get arrested, seeing his empire crumble, knowing the man who'd destroyed his life was finally facing consequences. Free, he admitted. Then it was worth it. They drove home in comfortable silence, but as they climbed the stairs to their apartment, they found Helen Martinez waiting. We need to talk, she said, about tonight. Inside, Helen pulled out her tablet. You took a 9-year-old to confront a dangerous criminal. She confronted him. I just drove. This is exactly the kind of behavior that concerns the court. Protecting people from fraud concerns the court. Putting Sophia in danger concerns the court. Sophia spoke up. I was never in danger. I had 3 exit strategies, Elizabeth's security as backup, and I'd already sent all the evidence to the FBI before we arrived. Helen stared at her. You're 9. So everyone keeps saying, but I'm also right. Being right doesn't make you safe. Being quiet doesn't make me safe either. At least being right gets results. Helen turned to Marcus. The custody review has been moved up. 2 weeks. Judge Coleman wants to assess the situation given tonight's events. Tonight's events where Sophia exposed a criminal. Tonight's events where a 9-year-old was put in a situation requiring adult judgment. After Helen left, Sophia sat at the kitchen table, suddenly looking very young. I'm going to lose you, Marcus said quietly. No. The judge will see an unstable situation. The judge will see a man who helped expose a $50 million fraud, who's raising a child capable of extraordinary things. We'll make him see. How? Sophia smiled, the first real smile Marcus had seen from her. The same way we beat Vincent, with math truth and a little bit of strategic genius. But that night, as Marcus tucked her in, Sophia asked, what if the judge doesn't care about math or truth? Then we'll find what he does care about. And if he just doesn't like us, Marcus sat on the edge of her bed, then we'll still have these 2 weeks, and they'll have been worth everything. That's not enough. It's more than I had 3 years ago. Sophia reached out, took his hand. It's more than I had 3 months ago, too. They sat in the darkness, holding on to each other and the fragile hope that mathematics and justice would be enough to keep them together. The next morning brought consequences neither had foreseen. Marcus's phone rang at 6 a.m. His old lawyer, the one who'd barely defended him 3 years ago. Marcus, what have you done? Exposed a criminal. Vincent Blackwood has filed charges. Defamation. Corporate espionage. Corruption of a minor. Corruption of a... He threatened us. He says you coached a 9-year-old to destroy his business, that you've been planning this for years, using the child as a weapon. Marcus looked at Sophia, who was listening from the doorway. That's insane. Well, that's his narrative, and he has very expensive lawyers. The evidence was obtained illegally. Sophia admitted hacking his servers. She didn't admit anything. She displayed proprietary information. How else would she have it? Marcus hung up. Sophia approached, still in her pajamas, looking even smaller than usual. I made it worse. No, Vincent made it worse. This is what men like him do. They attack when cornered. But now the judge will see the truth. You keep saying that like truth matters. It has to. Sophia pulled up her laptop. Then we need more truth. She began researching Judge Coleman. 63 years old, 20 years on the bench. Reputation for conservative rulings, but also for protecting children. Look at this, Sophia said. He ruled against a tech executive 2 years ago in a custody case, said wealth without wisdom is no foundation for raising a child. That could work against us. Or for us. We have wisdom. Vincent has neither wisdom nor legitimate wealth. Marcus's phone rang again. Elizabeth. Turn on the news. They did. Vincent's arrest was the lead story, but the narrative was already shifting. Disgraced executive Marcus Sterling used a 9-year-old girl to exact revenge on former partner. They're making me the villain. No, Sophia said. They're making us both villains, or victims. Depends on who's talking. She was right. Within hours, the story had fractured into competing narratives. Some called Sophia a hero, a child genius who exposed corruption. Others called her a pawn, a vulnerable girl manipulated by a vengeful man. We need to control the narrative, Sophia said. How? By telling the truth. All of it. That afternoon, Elizabeth arranged an interview with a respected financial journalist, Sarah Kim from the Wall Street Journal. No coaching, Sarah insisted. I talked to Sophia alone. Marcus started to object, but Sophia nodded. It's fine. They met in Elizabeth's conference room. Marcus watched through glass as Sophia sat across from the journalist, looking impossibly small in the corporate chair. Sophia? Sarah began. Tell me about the algorithm. Which one? The one that exposed Mr. Blackwood. There wasn't one. I just showed his investors basic mathematics. Ponzi schemes are mathematically unsustainable. Bernie Madoff proved that. Vincent was following the same pattern. How does a 9-year-old know about Bernie Madoff? How does a 9-year-old not know about the largest financial fraud in history? It's basic economic literacy. Sarah smiled slightly. Fair point. Tell me about Mr. Sterling. What about him? Did he tell you to expose Vincent? No, he told me not to. Said it was dangerous. But you did it anyway. Yes. Why? Sophia considered her answer. Because Vincent was hurting people, old people, people like my mom who worked their whole lives for small savings. Someone had to stop him. Why you? Because I could see it. Most people can't. They see numbers and trust them. I see patterns and question them. That's a heavy burden for a 9-year-old. Being smart is always a burden, but being silent when you could help people, that's worse. Sarah leaned forward. Are you happy with Mr. Sterling? For the first time, Sophia hesitated. Happy is complicated. How so? I was happier when my mom was alive. But that's not Marcus's fault. Given the circumstances, yes, I'm happy. What makes you happy about living with him? He sees me. What do you mean? Sophia struggled to articulate something she'd never said aloud. Most people see a poor kid or a smart kid or a problem to solve. Marcus sees Sophia, just me. He doesn't try to fix me or change me or make me normal. He just sees me. Sarah's expression softened. And what do you see when you look at him? Someone who lost everything and didn't become mean. That's rare. Most people, when they lose, they get angry at the world. Marcus got angry at himself, but he's learning to forgive himself. I'm helping. How? By needing him. People need to be needed. It's basic psychology. Sarah laughed. You really are extraordinary. No, I'm just observant. And good at math. The interview ran the next day. The headline, The 9-Year-Old Who Solved a $50 Million Fraud. Public opinion began to shift. Sophia wasn't a victim or a weapon, she was a hero. But Vincent wasn't done. His lawyers filed an emergency motion. They claimed Marcus was exploiting Sophia's genius for profit. That the consulting arrangement with Elizabeth was child labor. That exposing her to dangerous situations constituted abuse. The custody review was moved up again. 1 week. We need more than public opinion, Marcus said. Sophia nodded. We need to show the judge that I'm better with you than without you. How, home? Data. Judges like data. She created a presentation. Her weight gain since living with Marcus, 15 pounds healthy for her height. Her educational progress already solving graduate-level problems. Her emotional development. That's harder to quantify, she admitted. Not everything is numbers, Sophia. But numbers help. Helen Martinez visited one last time before the hearing. I have to submit my recommendation tomorrow, she said. What will it say? Marcus asked. Helen looked at Sophia, who was pretending to read while obviously listening. That's complicated. It shouldn't be. Is Sophia better off with me or in the system? The system has rules, structure, normalcy. The system had her sleeping under bridges. That was before. Before what? Before they knew she was a genius. She was the same person under those bridges that she is now, just hungrier. Helen turned to Sophia. What do you want? I want to stay with Marcus. Why? Because he's my family. Family is more than just living together. Family is choosing each other every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Marcus chooses me every day. I choose him. That's family. Helen made notes. The judge will ask hard questions. I'm good at hard questions. Not mathematical questions. Personal ones. About your mother, your father, your feelings. Sophia's jaw tightened. I'll manage. After Helen left, Marcus found Sophia at the window looking out at the city lights. Scared, he asked. Terrified. We could run, start over somewhere else. Sophia smiled sadly. That's not how math works. Problems don't disappear because you change locations. You have to solve them. And if we can't solve this one, then at least we tried. Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. Your mom would be proud of you. She'd be proud of you too, for taking care of me. I think you're taking care of me just as much. That's what family does. They stood together watching the city pulse with life, neither admitting what they both feared, that in 1 week, a judge who didn't know them would decide their fate based on paperwork and protocol. But they'd beaten Vincent Blackwood. Maybe they could beat the system too. Or maybe Sophia thought the system would finally win the way it always did against people like them, too poor, too smart, too different to fit in the boxes society created. 1 week to find out. The courthouse looked like a fortress designed to crush hope. Sophia counted the steps 43 as she climbed them with Marcus, each one feeling like a small mountain. Remember, Marcus said quietly, just tell the truth. The truth isn't always enough. It's all we have. They entered courtroom 7B to find it packed. The media had turned their custody hearing into Chicago's trial of the month. Vincent Blackwood sat in the back row, his own trial pending but free on bail and dressed like innocence itself. Helen Martinez was already seated, her recommendation folder sealed. Elizabeth Chen had come to support them, along with Dr. Wright from the school district, and surprisingly, Rebecca from Prometheus Academy. Judge Coleman entered, a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many broken families to maintain illusions about happy endings. This hearing concerns the custody arrangement for Sophia. He paused, frowning at the paperwork. No last name listed. Rodriguez. Sophia said, speaking for the first time in court. My mother was Elena Rodriguez. Thank you. The judge made a note. We're here to determine whether the temporary custody arrangement with Mr. Sterling should continue be made permanent, or whether Sophia should return to state care. The state's attorney, Ms. Brennan, stood first. She was everything Sophia had learned to fear: crisp, efficient, and utterly convinced that regulations mattered more than reality. Your Honor, while Mr. Sterling's intentions may be admirable, the facts are concerning. In 3 months, he has exposed Sophia to dangerous criminals, involved her in adult financial schemes, and failed to provide a stable educational environment. She presented her evidence methodically. The confrontation with Vincent, the late nights working on algorithms, the suspension from school, the rejection from Prometheus Academy. Furthermore, Ms. Brennan continued, Mr. Sterling's own history raises questions. Bankruptcy, scandal, living in a one-bedroom apartment on sporadic consulting income. This is not stability. Judge Coleman turned to Marcus's lawyer, a public defender named Tom Walsh, who looked overwhelmed before he even started. Mr. Walsh, Tom stood, shuffled papers. Your Honor, Mr. Sterling has provided Sophia with housing, food, education. Inadequate education? Ms. Brennan interrupted. She's been suspended from public school and rejected from private school because she's too advanced, because she lacks social skills and appropriate boundaries, likely due to Mr. Sterling's influence. Sophia watched Marcus's hands clench. She wanted to speak to defend him, but Tom had said to wait. Your Honor, Tom continued weakly, the bond between Mr. Sterling and Sophia is irrelevant if the environment is harmful. Ms. Brennan cut in again. Judge Coleman raised a hand. Ms. Martinez, your recommendation. Helen stood, opened her folder. Sophia held her breath. Your Honor, I've observed Mr. Sterling and Sophia for 3 months. The situation is unconventional. Mr. Sterling is not a traditional parent figure. Sophia is not a traditional child, but... She paused, glanced at Sophia. But I've seen a malnourished, traumatized child gain weight, gain confidence, and gain a family. Perfect no. But better than any alternative the state has offered. Your official recommendation, continued custody with Mr. Sterling pending regular reviews. Ms. Brennan stood again. Your Honor, I'd like to call a witness. Vincent Blackwood. Marcus's lawyer objected, but Judge Coleman allowed it. Vincent took the stand every inch the successful executive despite his pending charges. Mr. Blackwood, Ms. Brennan began, you've had dealings with both Mr. Sterling and Sophia. Unfortunately, yes. Can you describe those dealings? Vincent's voice was smooth, reasonable. Marcus has harbored resentment toward me for years. When he gained custody of Sophia, he saw an opportunity. He coached her, used her intelligence as a weapon against me. That's a lie, Sophia said loud enough for the court to hear. Judge Coleman looked at her. Young lady, you'll have your chance to speak. But he's lying now. Sophia, Marcus warned quietly. She fell silent, but her hands were shaking with rage. Vincent continued his performance. The child is brilliant, yes, but Marcus has turned that brilliance toward revenge. He's teaching her that rules don't matter, that she can hack into private servers, destroy businesses, all because she's smart enough to get away with it. How do you know she hacked into servers? Tom finally asked, showing a spark of competence. Vincent hesitated. She displayed private information, which could have been whistleblown to her. Did you file a police report about the alleged hacking? Not yet, because there's no evidence, because she exposed your crimes through mathematics, not hacking. Objection, Ms. Brennan said. Mr. Blackwood isn't on trial here. No, Judge Coleman said, but his credibility as a witness is relevant. He looked at Vincent. You may step down. Vincent left the stand, but not before shooting Sophia a look of pure venom. I'd like to call Sophia to speak, Judge Coleman said. Sophia stood, walked to the witness chair. It was too big for her. Her feet didn't touch the floor. Sophia saw him, the judge began gently. How old are you? 9 years and 4 months. Tell me about living with Mr. Sterling. Sophia had prepared for this, but now facing the judge, her prepared words evaporated. It's the first time since my mom died that I haven't been scared. Scared of what? Everything. Where I'd sleep, when I'd eat, whether someone would hurt me. She looked at Marcus. He makes me not scared. But hasn't he put you in dangerous situations? No, dangerous situations found us. He tried to protect me from them. The confrontation with Mr. Blackwood was my idea. Marcus told me not to go. I insisted. Judge Coleman leaned forward. Why? Because Mr. Blackwood was stealing from old people. People like Mrs. Chen, who invested her retirement. She's 73. She worked as a seamstress for 40 years. Vincent was going to take everything. That wasn't your responsibility to fix. Whose responsibility was it? The SEC, who hadn't noticed the investors who couldn't see the mathematical impossibility. If you can help and don't, aren't you partially responsible for the harm? The judge studied her. That's a very adult perspective. I haven't been a child since my mother got cancer. Maybe not even before that. Don't you want to be a child? Sophia considered this. I want to be safe. I want to learn. I want to help people with my abilities. If that's childish or adult, I don't care. What about friends? Normal childhood experiences. Normal is relative. For me, normal is solving differential equations for fun. For other kids, it's video games. Why is their normal more valid than mine? Ms. Brennan stood. May I ask the witness a question? Judge Coleman nodded. Sophia, have you been working for money? Yes. Doing what? Creating algorithms for quantum analytics. For how much money? 1.5% of profits generated, which totals about $300,000 so far. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. A 9-year-old earning $300,000, Ms. Brennan said. Does that sound like a childhood or exploitation? Sophia's eyes flashed. It sounds like capitalism. I provide value. I receive compensation. The alternative is what sitting in a foster home doing 4th grade worksheets while my brain atrophies. The alternative is being a child. I'm not a child. Sophia's composure finally cracked. I haven't been a child since I watched my mother die in a charity ward because we couldn't afford better treatment. I haven't been a child since I calculated how many meals I could skip before organ failure. I haven't been a child since I realized that being smart was my only chance at survival. She was crying now, angry tears she couldn't stop. You want me to be normal, to play with dolls and have sleepovers? I can't. My brain doesn't work that way. Marcus is the only person who's ever accepted that, who's ever accepted me. Judge Coleman handed her a tissue. Take a moment. Sophia wiped her eyes, embarrassed by the display of emotion. Sophia, the judge said gently, what do you want? I want to stay with Marcus. Why? Because he loves me. How do you know? Sophia thought about it. Because he gave me his bed and sleeps on the couch. Because he spends his last $10 on food for me. Because when Vincent threatened us, Marcus's first instinct was to protect me, not himself. Because he reads my mathematics papers even though he doesn't understand them, just so we can talk about them. Because, she paused looking at Marcus. Because he chose me when no one else would, and I choose him. Judge Coleman nodded. You may step down. As Sophia returned to her seat, Rebecca from Prometheus Academy stood. Your Honor, I'd like to speak. Ms. Brennan objected. She's not a scheduled witness. I'll allow it, Judge Coleman said. Rebecca, all of 12 years old, but carrying herself like an adult, approached the bench. Your Honor, I attend Prometheus Academy. I was there when Sophia visited. The school rejected her, not because she lacked social skills, but because she refused to pretend to be less than she is to make others comfortable. That takes courage most adults don't have. What's your point? My point is that Sophia doesn't need a traditional childhood because she's not a traditional child. She needs someone who understands that. Mr. Sterling does. Dr. Wright stood next. Your Honor, if I may add, Sophia's IQ is unmeasurable by conventional standards. Placing her in traditional foster care would be like caging an eagle. It might survive, but it would never soar. Elizabeth Chen joined them. Your Honor, I've watched Mr. Sterling with Sophia. Yes, their situation is unconventional, but I've seen him turn down lucrative consulting jobs because they conflicted with Sophia's needs. I've seen him research advanced mathematics he doesn't understand just to support her learning. That's not exploitation, that's love. Judge Coleman raised a hand. I appreciate the testimonials, but I need to consider the legal framework. He turned to Ms. Brennan. Does the state have a placement that could meet Sophia's unique needs? Ms. Brennan hesitated. We have group homes with educational programs for children with IQs above 180 with graduate-level mathematical knowledge. Well, no, but Mr. Walsh, the judge turned to Marcus's lawyer. What provisions has Mr. Sterling made for Sophia's education? Tom fumbled with papers. Marcus stood. Your Honor, may I speak for myself? Judge Coleman nodded. Marcus walked forward, no notes, no preparation, just truth. Your Honor, I'm not a perfect guardian. I'm not even a good one by traditional standards. I'm poor. I'm damaged. I have a history that follows me everywhere. But I understand Sophia in a way the system never will. Not her intelligence, I'll never fully grasp that, but her isolation, her fear that she's too different to be loved, her belief that she has to earn her place in the world through achievement. I had all the advantages, wealth, education, connections. I lost everything because I thought success mattered more than people. Sophia had nothing. No advantages, no safety net, no one. But she kept learning, kept growing, kept believing knowledge could save her. She saved me, Your Honor. Not financially, though, she's done that too. She saved me from becoming bitter, from giving up, from believing that losing money meant losing everything. I can't give her a mansion or private tutors or a trust fund, but I can give her consistency, safety, Someone who will never ever make her feel like she's too much or not enough. Someone who sees her extraordinary mind as a gift, not a burden or an opportunity. The state sees a problem to be managed. I see a daughter to be loved. That's the only difference that matters. The courtroom was silent. Judge Coleman looked at Vincent Blackwood, still sitting in the back row. Mr. Blackwood, you alleged Mr. Sterling coached Sophia to destroy you. Do you have proof? Vincent stood. The child's actions speak for themselves. That's not proof, that's speculation. The judge turned to Sophia. Young lady, one more question. Did Mr. Sterling tell you to expose Mr. Blackwood's crimes? No, Your Honor. He told me to stay away from him. Then why didn't you? Sophia met the judge's eyes. Because someone had to stop him. And I could. Judge Coleman nodded slowly. I'm ready to rule. The courtroom held its breath. This case presents unique challenges. Sophia Rodriguez is not a typical child. Mr. Sterling is not a typical guardian. Their situation defies conventional frameworks. However, the law's primary concern is the child's welfare. The evidence shows that in 3 months with Mr. Sterling, Sophia has gained weight, advanced her education independently, and contributed more to society through exposing financial fraud than most adults manage in a lifetime. Is the situation perfect? No. Is it conventional? Absolutely not. But perfection and convention are not the standards. The standard is the best interest of the child. Ms. Brennan argues for normalcy, but forcing normalcy on a profoundly gifted child would be its own form of abuse. Sophia needs an environment that accepts and nurtures her unique abilities. The evidence suggests Mr. Sterling provides that. Therefore, I'm granting permanent custody to Mr. Sterling with the following conditions. Monthly check-ins with social services for the first year, proof of continued education, whether traditional or alternative, and Mr. Sterling must establish a trust for Sophia's earnings managed by a court-appointed fiduciary until she's 18. He looked at Marcus and Sophia. Mr. Sterling, Sophia is not just gifted, she's extraordinary. That's a responsibility I hope you understand. I do, Your Honor. Sophia, you have a gift that could change the world. But remember, you're also 9. Don't let anyone, including yourself, forget that. Yes, Your Honor. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell. Sophia flew into Marcus's arms and for once didn't try to hide her tears. Around them, people applauded. Elizabeth, Dr. Wright, Rebecca, even Helen Martinez was smiling. Vincent Blackwood stormed out his own trial, looming his empire in ruins. As they left the courthouse, reporters surrounded them. Sophia, how does it feel to officially have a family? Mr. Sterling, what's next for you both? Marcus shielded Sophia from the cameras. No comment. We just want to go home. Home. The word had weight now, meaning. In the car, Sophia was quiet. Then, you called me your daughter. You are. Legally now, I guess. Not just legally. You've been my daughter since the day you corrected that calculus textbook in the diner. Sophia smiled. That was only 3 months ago. Feels like a lifetime. Good lifetime or bad? The best. They drove through Chicago past the diner, where they'd met, past the Ritz-Carlton, where they'd destroyed Vincent, past Prometheus Academy, where Sophia had refused to diminish herself. Marcus. Yeah. What happens now? Now we live. You keep learning, I keep consulting. We keep being a weird little family that doesn't fit anyone's expectations. And Vincent? Will go to prison probably. His trial starts next month. Will you testify? If asked. Will I have to? Marcus glanced at her. Worried? No, just wondering if I'll need to explain more mathematics to confused adults. Marcus laughed. Probably. They pulled up to their apartment building. The same 3 flights of stairs, the same narrow hallway, the same small apartment. But it felt different now, permanent. Theirs. Inside, Sophia went straight to her laptop. Already back to work. Elizabeth sent new problems. Apparently my last algorithm made $12 million yesterday. Sophia, you're worth over $300,000. $347,218.37. You could buy anything you want. Sophia looked around their small apartment at Marcus making cheap coffee in their tiny kitchen, at her corner full of secondhand books and salvaged electronics. I have everything I want. Really? Well, a better laptop would be nice. This one crashes when I run complex simulations. We'll get you the best laptop money can buy. And maybe a desk solving equations on the bed is bad for my posture. Desk, laptop, anything else? Sophia considered. Can we get a Christmas tree? Marcus blinked. It's September. I know, but I've never had one. Mom and I always said next year, but next year never came. Then we'll get the biggest Christmas tree that fits through the door. In September. In September. That evening, as Sophia worked on algorithms and Marcus read quarterly reports, she suddenly said, I know about my father. Marcus looked up. What? My biological father. I've known for weeks. How? DNA databases. I uploaded my genetic information from a home test kit Elizabeth gave me. She didn't look up from her screen. His name is David Chen. He's a physics professor at Caltech. Married 2 kids. Sophia. He doesn't know I exist. Mom never told him she was pregnant. She was 17. He was her tutor. It was inappropriate, probably illegal. She protected him by disappearing. Marcus moved to sit beside her. Do you want to contact him? No. Are you sure? Sophia finally looked up. He's my biological father. You're my dad. There's a difference. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Sophia, don't get emotional. It's just fact. He contributed DNA. You contribute everything else. Still, if you ever want to know him. I know everything I need to. He's brilliant, published papers on quantum mechanics. I inherited his mathematical ability, but he's also married with a family who doesn't know I exist. Contacting him would destroy lives for no benefit. Your benefit? I have you. That's benefit enough. They sat quietly for a moment. Besides, Sophia added, his published papers have 3 mathematical errors, so he's not that brilliant. Marcus laughed. You checked his work. Of course. Wanted to see if the apple fell far from the tree. And the apple fell, rolled down a hill, crossed an ocean, and became a different fruit entirely. A better fruit. Sophia smiled. A weirder fruit. But weird is good. Weird is excellent. That night, Marcus tucked Sophia in a ritual she claimed to be too old for, but never refused. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For fighting for me. For choosing me. For seeing me as more than just a brain that's good at math. You are more. You're brave and kind and funny when you let yourself be. You're the daughter I never knew I needed. You're the father I never thought I'd have. Marcus kissed her forehead. Sleep well, kiddo. Marcus. Yeah. We're going to be okay, aren't we? He thought about their journey from a diner theft to a courtroom victory, from strangers to family, from broken pieces to something whole. Yeah, Sophia. We're going to be more than okay. As he closed her door, he heard her whisper to herself, or maybe to her mother's photo. We did it, Mom. I found my family. Marcus stood in the hallway, overwhelmed by the weight of responsibility and love. 3 months ago, he'd been a broken man with nothing to lose. Now, he was a father with everything to protect. The system had tried to break them apart. Vincent had tried to destroy them. Poverty and prejudice had tried to defeat them. But they'd won. Not through conventional means, not by following rules, but by being exactly who they were, a failed millionaire and a homeless genius who'd found in each other the family neither thought they'd have. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Vincent's trial, where they'd have to relive everything. Sophia's education still unsolved despite the court victory. The complexity of raising a child who could outsmart most adults but still needed bedtime stories. But tonight, they were home. Safe. Together. Family. 2 years had passed since the custody hearing. Sophia, now 11, stood before a packed auditorium at MIT delivering a lecture on quantum applications in financial modeling. She'd grown taller but was still small for her age, her dark hair now kept in a neat braid that Marcus had learned to do from YouTube tutorials. The fundamental error in traditional modeling, she explained, her voice clear and confident, is assuming markets are mechanical systems. They're not. They're quantum systems, observer-dependent, probabilistic, existing in superposition until measured. In the audience, Marcus sat between Elizabeth Chen and Dr. Sarah Kim, the journalist who'd first told their story. He wore a new suit, not expensive, but not threadbare. The consulting firm he'd started, Sterling Rodriguez Analytics, was thriving, built on Sophia's algorithms and his business acumen. "She's remarkable," Sarah whispered. "She's 11. Marcus whispered back, pride and worry mingling in his voice. After the lecture, they walked across MIT's campus. Sophia still in her blazer and slacks, her lecture uniform as she called it. "You killed it," Marcus said. "I explained quantum finance to academics. It's not exactly killing it. Take the compliment. Fine. I killed it." They were heading to lunch when Marcus's phone rang, a number he didn't recognize. "Mr. Sterling. This is James Powell from the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. We need to speak with you and Sophia about Vincent Blackwood." Marcus's blood chilled. "Vincent's in prison." "Not anymore. He was released yesterday on appeal, and Mr. Sterling, he's disappeared." They met Agent Powell at Elizabeth's office, a secure location where Sophia felt safe. Powell was young earnest with the kind of intensity that came from chasing white-collar criminals who thought they were untouchable. "Blackwood's conviction was overturned on a technicality," Powell explained. His lawyer argued the evidence was prejudiced by Sophia's presentation at the Ritz-Carlton. The appeals court agreed. "That's insane," Elizabeth said. "That's the law." "But here's the problem. Vincent liquidated hidden assets we didn't know about. Nearly 20 million. He's gone, and we think he's planning something." "What?" Marcus asked, though he already knew. "Revenge," Sophia said simply. "He's coming for us." Powell nodded. "We're offering protection." "No," Sophia interrupted. "Protection means hiding. I'm done hiding." "Sophia," Marcus began, "I have a life now. Friends." She paused. "Well, friend, Rebecca. But still, I have MIT lectures, the company, my research. I won't let Vincent take that." "He's dangerous," Powell warned. "So am I," Sophia replied. That evening, in their new apartment, 3 bedrooms bought with Sophia's earnings, Marcus found her at her computer typing furiously. "What are you doing?" "Setting traps." "Sophia, he'll come at us through the company first, try to discredit our algorithms, claim they're his work from before. So I'm documenting everything, creating unbreakable chains of evidence. And if he comes at us physically?" Sophia looked up. "Then we use the security system I installed last month." "You installed a security system?" "Military grade. Elizabeth helped. We were worried about corporate espionage, but it'll work for vindictive criminals too." Marcus sat beside her. "You've thought about this?" "I've thought about Vincent every day for 2 years. He's the variable I couldn't solve. Now I can." "This isn't math, Sophia. This is dangerous." "Everything important is dangerous." 3 days later, the attack came, but not how they expected. Marcus arrived at their office to find chaos. All their computers were displaying the same message: "Everything you have is mine." VB. Their code, their algorithms, their client data, all encrypted, locked behind ransomware. "He's not just threatening us," Elizabeth said, pale. "He's threatening every company that uses our systems. Hundreds of millions of dollars." Sophia arrived, took one look at the screens, and smiled. "What?" Marcus asked. He took the bait. She pulled out her personal laptop, never connected to the company network, and began typing. "6 months ago, I created a ghost protocol. Fake algorithms that look real but have hidden triggers. If someone steals them, tries to use them, they reveal the thief's location, identity, everything." "You expected this?" "I expected someone to try eventually. Vincent just made it personal." She hit enter. On every infected screen, the ransomware began dissolving, replaced by streaming data IP addresses. Server locations, a digital trail leading directly to Vincent. "He's in Switzerland," Sophia announced. "But he's accessing our systems through a server farm in New Jersey. Powell needs to move now." Marcus called Powell while Sophia continued working. Within an hour, FBI agents had raided the server farm. Within 3 hours, they'd traced the financial transactions. Vincent had made one crucial error. He'd used some of the same accounts from his original fraud, but Vincent himself remained free, hidden in a country without extradition. "We can freeze his assets," Powell told them, "but we can't bring him back." "Then we make him come back," Sophia said. She had that look, the same one from the Ritz-Carlton from the custody hearing, the look that said she'd already solved the problem and was just waiting for everyone else to catch up. "Sophia, no," Marcus said firmly. "We're not putting you in danger again." "I'm already in danger. We all are. Vincent won't stop until he's destroyed us or we destroy him. Those are the only solutions to this equation." She was right. Marcus hated that she was right. The plan Sophia devised was elegant in its simplicity. If Vincent wanted their algorithms, she'd give him exactly what he wanted with modifications. "We leak that I've developed a new system," she explained to Powell, Elizabeth, and Marcus. "Something revolutionary. Quantum arbitrage that guarantees profits. We make it public that we're presenting it at the Global Finance Summit next month." "He'll try to steal it," Elizabeth said. "Or steal me," Sophia added casually. "Absolutely not," Marcus said. "Marcus, I'm not bait. I'm the trap. There's a difference." The Global Finance Summit was held in New York 3 weeks later. Sophia was the youngest presenter ever, which made headlines worldwide. Vincent would definitely know. The night before her presentation, they stayed at a hotel near Wall Street. Security was everywhere, FBI private guards. Elizabeth had hired even Rebecca's father, who turned out to be ex-Mossad. "You don't have to do this," Marcus told Sophia as they reviewed her presentation. "Yes, I do. Not for revenge, for closure. Vincent is an unsolved equation. I need to balance it." "Life isn't an equation." "Sure it is. It's just nonlinear with multiple variables and chaotic attractors." Marcus laughed despite his fear. "When did you become philosophical?" "When I realized mathematics can describe everything except why people choose to love each other. That's the one problem I can't solve." "Maybe that's because it's not a problem. It's a gift." Sophia hugged him. She did that more often now, having learned that physical affection was another form of communication. "If something happens tomorrow, nothing will happen. But if it does, I need you to know something." Marcus pulled back, looked at her. "What?" "You saved me. Not from poverty or homelessness, from becoming like Vincent. I have his same hunger, his same ruthlessness, but you taught me to use it for good. That's why I call you Dad now, not Marcus, Dad, because that's what you are." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "Sophia, don't cry. We have work to do." The presentation hall was packed. 500 of the world's top financial minds, all waiting to see what the 11-year-old genius had created. Sophia took the stage looking impossibly young but utterly composed. "2 years ago," she began, "I exposed a $50 million fraud with basic mathematics. Today I'm going to show you something more complex. A system that predicts market movements with 97% accuracy." Gasps rippled through the audience. She began her presentation, equations flowing across massive screens. It was brilliant, revolutionary, and completely fake, though only she and Marcus knew that. Halfway through, the lights flickered, then died. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting everything in red. Sophia continued as if nothing had happened, but Marcus saw her hand move to her pocket where she'd hidden a panic button. "Technical difficulties," someone announced. "Please remain seated." But Marcus was already moving, pushing through the crowd toward the stage. He felt it in his bones Vincent was here. He found Vincent in the technical booth downloading Sophia's presentation from the main computer. "Hello, Marcus." Vincent looked older, harder. Prison and revenge had carved lines into his face. "It's over, Vincent." "No, it's just beginning. I'm going to take everything, your company, your reputation, and your little genius. She'll work for me or I'll destroy her." "She's 11 years old. She's a weapon. You just never had the vision to use her properly. She's a child. She's a resource, like you were before you became useless." Marcus lunged at him, but Vincent was ready, pulling a knife. They struggled, crashing into equipment. The blade caught Marcus's arm, sending hot pain through him. Then Sophia's voice came through the speakers, not from the stage, from everywhere. "Mr. Blackwood, You're being watched by 800 cameras right now. FBI agents are converging on your location. You have 45 seconds to surrender. Vincent froze. Oh, Sophia continued. And that algorithm you're stealing, it's designed to fail catastrophically when used for illegal purposes. Check your Swiss accounts. Vincent pulled out his phone, his face going white as he saw his hidden millions evaporating transferred to the victims of his original fraud. You little bitch. I'm 11, Sophia's voice said calmly, and I just beat you. Again. FBI agents flooded the booth. Vincent was arrested this time with no technicalities to save him. Attempting to kidnap a minor assault with a deadly weapon, cyber terrorism, he'd face decades in prison. Marcus, bleeding but standing, found Sophia on the stage. She ran to him, her composure finally cracking. Your arm. It's fine. Are you okay? I was so scared. You didn't sound scared. I'm good at pretending now. You taught me that too sometimes. Bravery is just fear that doesn't quit. The paramedics bandaged Marcus's arm while Powell took their statements. The summit was canceled, but nobody seemed to mind. They'd witnessed something better than a presentation justice in real time. That night back in Chicago, they sat in their apartment eating Chinese takeout. Sophia had been quiet since leaving New York. What's wrong? Marcus asked. I'm like him. Vincent. I could be him. No. Yes, I have the same abilities, the same instincts. I could manipulate markets, destroy companies, take whatever I wanted. The only difference is choice. That's a big difference. But what if I make the wrong choice someday? Marcus set down his chopsticks. You know what the difference really is between you and Vincent? What? He never asked that question. He never worried about becoming evil. You do. That worry, that self-awareness, that's what keeps you good. Sophia considered this. So being afraid of becoming bad is what keeps me good. Being aware that you have a choice, and choosing good even when bad would be easier. Bad would be more profitable. But good lets you sleep at night. I have insomnia. About math problems, not moral ones. Sophia smiled. True. A week later, they stood in a different courtroom. Vincent's sentencing. He got 25 years, no possibility of parole for 15. As they led him away, he looked at Sophia with such hatred that Marcus stepped between them. But Sophia stepped around Marcus, meeting Vincent's eyes. I forgive you, she said loud enough for him to hear. Vincent stopped. What? I forgive you for threatening us, for trying to destroy our lives. I forgive you. I don't want your forgiveness. It's not for you, it's for me. Carrying anger is inefficient. It takes up processing power I need for better things. Vincent was dragged away, but Sophia's words had hit their mark. He looked confused, smaller somehow. Outside the courthouse, Marcus asked, Did you mean it about forgiving him? I'm trying to. Mom always said forgiveness was freedom. I didn't understand until now. Vincent will spend decades in prison, but if I carry hatred for him, I'm in prison too, just a different kind. You're 11 going on 40. I'm 11 going on 11. I just have a good vocabulary. They walked through downtown Chicago past the diner where they'd met 3 years ago. It had closed, replaced by a Starbucks, but they stopped anyway. Everything changes, Sophia observed. Not everything. Not the important things. Like what? Like us. Like family. Sophia nodded. Want to know a secret? Always. Elizabeth offered me a full-time position, VP of Algorithmic Development, 7-figure salary. Marcus's heart sank. That's amazing. I turned it down. Why? Because I'm 11. I have time to be a VP later. Right now I want to be your daughter. Go to school. Real school. Not just lectures. Maybe make another friend. Rebecca's great, but she's at Harvard now. Sophia, this is your future. No, it's one possible future. I calculated them all. In the future where I take the job, I'm rich but alone. In the future where I stay a kid a little longer, I'm happy. The math is clear. Marcus hugged her right there on the street. When did you get so wise? Tuesday, around 3 p.m., right after I solved the Riemann hypothesis. You solved, wait, really? Sophia grinned. No, but I'm close. Give me another year. They started walking home, but Sophia stopped suddenly. Marcus, Dad, there's something else. What? I've been in contact with someone. Online. A mathematician in California who's been helping with my work. Marcus's blood chilled. Sophia, we talked about online safety. It's David Chen, my biological father. Marcus froze. What? He doesn't know it's me. We just discussed mathematics. But his insights have been helpful. Sophia, I'm not going to tell him, ever. He has his family, I have mine. But I wanted to know him just a little, to understand that part of myself. And he's brilliant but cold, sees mathematics as pure abstraction. You see it as a tool to help people. That's the difference I inherited from you, not him. The part that matters. They continued walking. Then Sophia asked, Are you mad? No, worried maybe, but not mad. I'll stop if you want. Marcus thought about it. No, but be careful. Hearts are more fragile than equations. Everything's more fragile than equations. That's why equations are beautiful. They're unbreakable. Unlike us. We're not broken anymore. We're solved. That evening, Sophia gave Marcus a gift, a framed photo from the custody hearing the moment the judge declared them family. Elizabeth's assistant took it, she explained. I had it printed. In the photo, they were hugging, both crying, looking nothing like father and daughter, should him a broken millionaire, her a homeless genius, but looking exactly like what they were, family. It's perfect, Marcus said. No, it's not. You're crying, and my hair's a mess, and the lighting's terrible. That's what makes it perfect. It's real. Sophia leaned against him on the couch, something she did now without thinking. Dad? Yeah. Remember when you promised you'd never leave me? Of course. I want to make you the same promise. I'll never leave you either, even when I'm grown up and solving impossible problems and probably annoying everyone with my inability to be normal. You promise? I promise. Together or not at all? They sat in comfortable silence, Marcus reading quarterly reports, Sophia working through equations that would reshape financial modeling. Just a normal evening for an abnormal family. The doorbell rang. Rebecca stood outside, back from Harvard for spring break. I brought pizza and unsolved theorems, she announced. Rebecca. Sophia actually squealed a sound Marcus had never heard her make. As the two girls spread papers across the living room floor debating mathematics with the passion most kids reserve for video games, Marcus realized something. They'd won. Not just against Vincent or the system or poverty. They'd won the harder battle, the one for happiness, for belonging, for love that didn't require explanation or justification. Sophia looked up from her equations. Dad, Rebecca thinks the Hodge conjecture is unsolvable. Tell her she's wrong. I have no idea what the Hodge conjecture is. It's about projective algebraic varieties. Still no idea? Sophia laughed, full and free and young. I love you anyway. Love you too, kiddo. And in that moment, in their imperfect apartment with takeout containers and equations covering every surface, with an 11-year-old genius and her father who'd lost everything except what mattered, Marcus understood something Sophia had calculated long ago. Sometimes the most elegant solution to life's equation isn't wealth or success or even genius. Sometimes it's just two broken people who choose to be whole together. Sometimes it's family. The next morning brought unexpected news. The Nobel Committee had created a new category, mathematics in service to humanity. Sophia was nominated for her work exposing financial fraud through algorithmic analysis. You could win a Nobel Prize, Marcus said, stunned. We could win, Sophia corrected. The nomination includes you as co-developer of the implementation strategy. Sophia, I didn't. You did. You took my theories and made them real. That's harder than the theories themselves. She was at her laptop reading the nomination letter when something else caught her attention. Oh my God. What? She turned the screen toward him. An email from the Rodriguez family in Mexico, her mother's relatives she'd never known existed. They saw the news about the nomination. They want to meet me. How do you feel about that? Sophia considered. Scared, curious, excited. It's mathematically impossible to feel all three simultaneously, yet here we are. Want to go together? Of course together. Sophia smiled. Then yes, but after the Nobel ceremony. Confident you'll win. The math is in our favor. Plus Rebecca's father knows someone on the committee. That's cheating. That's networking. You taught me the difference. Marcus laughed. I've created a monster. You've created a daughter. The monster part was already there. That afternoon, they visited Elena Rodriguez's grave. They went monthly now, bringing fresh flowers and updates. Hi, Mom, Sophia said, arranging the roses. We might win a Nobel Prize. Marcus says it's my achievement, but really, it's ours, yours, mine, and his. You gave me life and love. Marcus gave me structure and safety. Together, you gave me everything. She traced her mother's name on the stone. I found your family. Your sister Maria sent photos. I look just like you at my age. She says you were brilliant too, but chose love over career. She says you never regretted it. Wind rustled through the cemetery trees. I'm choosing both love and career. Marcus says I can have everything if I'm willing to work for it. I think you'd like him. He's nothing like you describe fathers being. He's present and patient, and only occasionally embarrassing. Hey, Marcus protested gently. He made me get braces. Said even geniuses need straight teeth. Dental health is important. Sophia turned to him. Mom would have loved you. You think you saved her daughter? You gave me the life she couldn't. Yeah, she would have loved you. They stood together at the grave. 3 people bound by love, 2 living. 1 remembered all family. As they walked back to the car, Sophia said, I've been thinking about the future. Always dangerous. I want to establish a foundation. For kids like me, brilliant but poor different, but valuable. We'll call it the Elena Rodriguez Foundation. That's beautiful. It's practical. Statistically, there are thousands of kids with exceptional abilities who never get the chance to develop them. That's inefficient resource allocation. You just described charity as resource allocation. Everything's resource allocation if you think about it, right? Marcus started the car. Where did I go right with you? You went right by going left, by choosing the weird kid everyone said would ruin your life. You did ruin my life, my old life, thank God. Thank me. God had nothing to do with it. As they drove home, Sophia worked on her Nobel acceptance speech while Marcus navigated Chicago traffic. How's this? She said. Distinguished Committee Fellow Laureate's dad? You're putting me in your Nobel speech. You're the most important person there. Of course you're in it. Continue. 3 years ago, I was homeless stealing food to survive. Today, I stand before you, not because I'm exceptional, but because someone saw potential where others saw problems. This prize belongs to every child whose brilliance is hidden by circumstance, and to every adult brave enough to nurture that brilliance despite the cost. It's perfect. It's sappy. Perfect can be sappy. Sophia saved the file, then opened another document, college applications. MIT wants me full-time, she said. So does Stanford, Harvard, and Oxford. You're 11. I'll be 12 next month. Still too young for college. Rebecca started at 10. Rebecca didn't have a childhood. You still can. Sophia looked at him. Is that what you want? For me to be a child. I want you to be happy. If that means MIT at 12, okay. If it means waiting until you're 18, also okay. What if I did both part-time student, part-time kid? That sounds like you refusing to choose just one option. Why choose when you can optimize? That evening, Elizabeth called with news that would change everything. Quantum Analytics is going public, she announced. The IPO values the company at $2 billion. Your percentage, Sophia, makes you worth approximately $30 million. Sophia blinked. That's more than Marcus lost. Significantly more, Elizabeth confirmed. They sat in stunned silence. We're rich, Sophia finally said. You're rich, Marcus corrected. It's your algorithm. Our algorithm, our wealth, our family, everything is ours. She pulled up real estate listings. We could buy a mansion. Do you want a mansion? Not really. Maybe just a house with a yard. And a better computer and a library. Definitely a library. That's all. And maybe we can pay for other kids to go to Prometheus Academy. Kids like I was who are brilliant but can't afford it. Now you're thinking. Sophia closed the laptop. Money's weird. 3 years ago, we had nothing but each other. Now we'll have millions. But the other part, having each other, that's still the only part that matters. Money just makes the rest easier. No, Sophia said thoughtfully. Money makes some things easier and other things harder. But love stays exactly the same level of complicated no matter how much money you have. When did you become a philosopher? Thursday, around 2 p.m., right after I proved P equals NP. You didn't prove, I know, but someday I will. And when I do, you'll be there, won't you? Always. Even if I stay weird. Especially if you stay weird. Even if I never learn to be normal. Normal is overrated. Be Sophia. That's more than enough. She hugged him, then this brilliant, broken, beautiful child who'd saved him while he was saving her. Dad. Yeah, kiddo. We did it, didn't we? We won. Marcus thought about Vincent in prison, about the Nobel nomination, about the millions coming their way. But mostly he thought about this moment, Sophia, in his arms, safe and loved, and home. Yeah, sweetheart. We won everything that matters. And in their living room, surrounded by equations and empty takeout containers with a Nobel Prize possibly in their future, and millions definitely in their bank account. Marcus Sterling and Sofia Rodriguez proved that sometimes the most unlikely families are the strongest ones. Sometimes a bankrupt millionaire and a homeless genius are exactly what each other needs. Sometimes love really is the only equation that matters, even if it's the only one that can't be solved.